Hey, everybody, we're live, and I have an extremely, very, very special guest, Deborah Presley. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am blessed for having you here, and off camera, she gave me some great advice about getting an operation. So I'm going under the knife. I'm going to do it. I'm been scared to death, but thank you, Miss Presley. Thank you very much. And let's talk about your book and your life here, because wow, uh, what I got by the email, thanks to our mutual friend, Mr. Losey, is
Mhm.
Elvis Presley's first biological daughter, Deborah Presley Brando, has released her long awaited autobiography, Memoirs of a Starseed Child, Elvis, Marlon, Christian, and Me. And I thought, wow. Um, and so it reads Once upon a time in 1954, the future king of rock walked into Howard Simpson's recording studio in Charlotte, North Carolina, with his cousin Gene Smith by his side. Little did he know that he would meet Barbara Jean, the secret love of his life. However, this story isn't about the king of rock. 2 years later, in March 1956, Deborah Delane was born as the king's star was on the rise. She had her own suspicions, but her mama refused to confirm that Elvis was her biological father until August 16th, 1977, the very day that Elvis died. As the title implies, Elvis Presley, Marlon Brando, and Christian Brando are all featured in this memoir, but it's primarily an intergenerational woman's story and follows Deborah Presley Brando's life before and after this fateful day. Although there are many iconic figures, this is a story told in an intimate space with strong themes of family and belonging. It is a tale of triumph and survival in the face of adversity and abuse, and that's by Amazon Publishing. What a heck of a way to start. And also, my condolences on the passing of Lisa Marie. Very sad. What
Thank you.
you what about your life to you stands out the most? That of all the things you went through, had to go through.
That my faith sustains me because there's nothing that has happened in my life that I mean, obviously I get upset and scared, but I always bounce back because I know that God has me and that I can get through any of it. I just keep going and try to find the best in everything that happens, and I believe everything happens for a reason.
What when you finally got to that point where the world was aware of who you were, how did that change your life?
Um, it didn't really change it that much, except for I realized through people communicating with me that other people have been through the same kinds of things, not necessarily with famous parents, but not knowing where they came from, or feeling abandoned, or feeling lost. And that we all go through the same sorts of feelings, and it's just a matter of how we choose to get through them. And I do that by realizing I'm a spiritual being having a human experience through it all.
And what do you have to say to those people who, how would I put it, weren't as nice to you as they should have been, and perhaps did some things they shouldn't have done along the way to the revelation?
I basically just forgive them and realize that there must, and I'm not saying there haven't been some really painful situations, but I just forgive them and realize there must be something really hurting in them, or they wouldn't be that way, because happy people are not mean people.
That's
And
right.
mean people are hurting. Um, and I just bless them and pray for them. I don't have any hostility, and I just simply forgive them.
Um, have you been able to reconcile with any one of them since then, or has it all been a collective like cleaning of the decks? Or
No, I forgive. I have people in my life that have and I'm sure I've hurt them, but we just forgive each other and go on. Then obviously in other situations, there are people that that I didn't continue on with because I can't be a part of hating anyone or anything.
Right. Hey, shifting gears to happier talk. What do you remember about your father?
Um, I remember he was in my life up until I was about 4 when I was able to start talking. I remember him picking me up and hugging me and having my face sort of buried in his neck, and his hair was damp, and I remember him feeding me oranges. He would make a hole in the top and like make it into a drink. Just little things like that. And I also remember us being separated and being told, don't talk, you're not can't tell anyone, and just little flashes of things, but mostly just how loving he was, and him picking me up and throwing me up in the air, and um, just those sweet little things that a child, would remember with the parent who spent very little time and wasn't aware of the fact that he was my father at during those times. And a lot of those memories were buried, and so they came out gradually over time.
What of all those memories that were buried, aside from the ones you just shared with us, what else do you remember?
Um, I remember long rides to see him, and then I remember um, just being happy to get there, and it wasn't like in a natural situation to where it would be daylight and I would see him. I remember he would often come out of the darkness, like we would, I guess, meet him in places that were quiet and private, and I remember all of a sudden it would be dark and my mother would be all excited, and next thing I knew, there he was, but he would disappear in the same way.
What would happen? Let's say that you were made known for being who you are from the start. How would that have been different? What would have been wrong with that?
um I'm really grateful that things happened the way that they did, because in many ways I was protected from all of that.
Hmm.
And even though I moved 36 times before I was 15 years old, um, I just, I was so close to my mother, and she was always there for me. And she taught me, that I had one father, that was God, and he was always there and he never abandoned me. But I would have been different. I've seen not only my half sister, but also Christian and other people that I've loved. And fame is not a good companion in life.
Hmm.
It's hollow and it's empty, and you don't know who's there for what reason. Um, and I'm grateful that I wasn't subjected to any of that. And I know that my parents both tried to protect me, even though the colonel was not going to let my father have a child and a career, just would have ruined it. But I just know that I'm better off having not been a part of that.
Tell my viewers who the Colonel is, please.
He was my father's manager,
Hmm.
and he found him in 1955. I was conceived in June of 55, and the colonel came full speed onto my father's life, and around that same time, actually. When my mother was with my father, he had no money. He had holes in the bottom of his shoes. When he jumped up to catch lightning bugs, Mama told me that he had, holes in the bottom of his shoes. And he was poverty stricken, but had a dream. And um, the colonel just came, and he heard about him from Mae Axton, and also she wrote Heartbreak Hotel. But and actually the colonel was in retirement at that point. He had had a heart attack and was retired from Eddie Arnold and other well-known people, and he just said, I mean, this is 1955. And my mother married someone else quickly that was her high school boyfriend, that had a brand new 55 Chevrolet, that was from a wealthy construction family. And that broke my father's heart, because she married money to keep herself safe. And then within 90 days of her getting married, he was all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
Is there any regrets from that, from her position?
For my mother,
Yeah.
I don't think so, because I think that she understood that he had um, a mission in this world, and he touched so many people, and he was way more spiritual than people realize. I mean, he would have been a great preacher, but the colonel said, "Shut up and sing." He won his only Grammys for gospel music, and I just believe that he was spiritually very advanced. And because back when he met my mother, my father's mother was Jewish, and a lot of people don't realize that. So she had believed in reincarnation, and so had my mother because she,
Elvis Presley's Jewish.
his mama. Partly, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why he wore the Star of David. Larry Geller, his hairdresser and
That's
spiritual
Abraham.
advisor.
Yeah, I got a little of that too. So actually, I got.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we all are.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and he used to wear his little Star of David and say, "I don't want to miss heaven on a technicality." So, so yeah, and I'm proud of it, and that's where I got my curly hair, I guess. And I'm very proud of all of that. Yeah, bless your heart. Yeah, we're related too, I'm sure.
Oh, you wrote something here that's touching me. It reads, Deborah claimed that over the years, Elvis wrote letters to her mother asking her to stay in touch. When she was 16 years old, she claimed to have received proof that Elvis was her father. She recalled hearing the radio announce, "The king is dead," as she watched her mother pull out of the driveway. When she exited the vehicle, she held her mother and shouted, "Mama, can you tell me now he's dead?" And I remember, I'll never forget as long as I live, she put her hands on me and she looked straight in my eyes and she said, "It's true, he's your father. And I want you to promise me one thing. You will never do anything to bring any shame to his name." And I said, "I promise." That is heavy.
It's very heavy because I knew all of my life that she knew him before he was famous. She talked about him all, he was her friend. And when you're a child, you think like a child. So I thought everybody knew him. I actually thought he lived in the car because he was always on the radio when we got in the car. So um, I think that, and I had confronted her in February of 77 and just asked her straight out. And she had just had gallbladder surgery and she just broke down. And I was not expecting that. She couldn't get up and run because she had just had surgery a couple of days before, and she just broke down like a dam broke. And she said every other one of my children belonged to the man that she married. And I think there was a lot of shame around it back then because when she said that to me, don't do anything to bring any shame to his name. I think that there was a part of her that felt that if it were known that she were pregnant at that time, that it would have been a shameful thing. I thought that was a very revealing statement.
Do you feel a special need to carry on your father's legacy? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, it's interesting you ask that. Well, not in terms of being a singer or in the public eye as a celebrity, because like I said, I feel like fame is just so hollow because I saw what Christian went through with Marlon. I saw how it gave them all this wealth and these material things, but there was still such a huge um, part
Spiritual.
of them that was empty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so um, I want to carry on in terms of teaching people exactly what I'm saying, that we're all from of divine origin. My father believed that we are all God's children. We are all brothers and sisters. We all want the same things. And if we all realized that, I think that things could just change in the twinkling of an eye. But we all need to realize that. And he wanted people to know this too. And so, I mean, if you've read books about his spirituality, he believes exactly what I believe. There's nothing that we can deal with that we can't deal with God's help, and He's always there. No matter how angry we get, and I've lost a brother from suicide on my birthday when I was 44, another one from a heroin overdose. I've had my son-in-law committed suicide, just a whole
Oh my God.
lot of things. Yeah, but I just realized that I just keep going, and I know that they're in God's hands and everything happens the way it's meant to be. And we need to all realize where we came from and who we are.
How do you feel when you see these articles like people who claim to be Elvis's secret kid and that sort of thing in court battle? Does that piss you off?
No, it doesn't, because
Me
I
off.
I believe that no, it doesn't at all. I believe that we all have the right to believe what we believe. Now, I am the only one who went to court that I'm aware of. Um, And I know that Gene Smith, who was my father's first cousin, that I found through a TV show, and we got very close. He went to court with me. He says that there are only two besides Lisa. But I would not, knowing how it feels for people to think you just wake up and make this stuff up. I would. I don't want to judge them. I've asked some if they would do DNA with me, and they didn't want to. And I don't waste a lot of time on that because I think everybody has the right to believe what they believe.
Now, over your father's time, I know you listened to your dad's songs.
Oh yeah.
So, what's your favorite?
American Trilogy. I can barely get through it though, because at the core of his being, he loved his country, he loved his mother, he loved God, and that's the essence, I believe, of who he was. I love all of his material, all of it, and it never gets old. And I'm just so proud of him because millions and billions of people are happy today just hear his music, and no matter what I'm going through, it's not just his music, but a lot of music. It just takes you out of wherever you are, and no matter how sad or depressed, I can just put on music, and all of a sudden I'm elevated and can keep going. Sort of like faith, both of those things. But I'm just so proud of him, and I love that was his gift.
So, we talk a lot about you in the context of your dad, but I want to find out who you are. For example, what's your favorite place to eat?
Um, Duke's at Malibu, or
Oh, yeah.
Outback.
Tell us about Duke's in Malibu.
It's right by the ocean, and the water comes right up onto the windows.
Oh my God!
The tide comes in and it
Wait,
splashes the water
I
down.
got the internet. I got to find this place.
Oh,
Duke's.
I'll take you there. It's right at
Yeah,
Topeka Canyon.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's named from a surfer, I believe, from like the 30s or 40s, and it's just right on the water. Come on, and I'll take you. It's amazing. And the best clam chowder.
Oh, I
And
love clam chowder.
yeah, and I like Outback because I love fish, and I love their. I'm pretty simple. I've lived on top of the hill. I've had brand new cars delivered, and I'm just so simple. Simplicity is all I really want.
Here it is, folks. Here's Duke's restaurant. As we can only. Oh, that looks good, doesn't it? Oh
Wait
my
a
God.
minute, who is that?
What is that? That is. Wait, let me. That is. You know
That's
what? That's
probably sushi, but I won't eat that.
like sushi. Um.
There's a surfboard. See the surfboards on the wall?
Yeah. It's like Duke. What is it? Hamaka Mucka. What Mucka? What's his name? I'm trying to think of the Duke from Hawaii.
That's probably him.
You know what I'm talking about?
If
Uh.
he's a surfer guy, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Duke's.
there it is.
That's a cool place. It looks cool.
And the
Uh.
ocean is right behind.
Wow. And let me see something. There's the menu here. Lunch, dinner, and then they have Sunday brunch. Let's
Oh,
see what.
you're fast.
Thank God. Oh, they don't have any pictures of food. Come on, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Where's the ocean? That's two.
Let's see what it's got. Surfer. They've got things here. Oh my God, this is fun. Hold on. Let's do this another way. Images. Aha. Okay. So we've got like this one, right?
Yeah, see those windows? The water comes right up on the window. It's great.
Oh, that looks like.
Until it isn't great, like the past week.
Oh my gosh, this is outstanding. Yeah, I'll take that invitation. Definitely.
Come on over. Yeah, we'll go. It's great.
Oh man, this is my heart. I love food. So,
Yeah,
so
I like Outback too. And
Outback. So you like Duke's for the kind of seafoody fare, right? But the atmosphere.
uh-huh.
Outback for the steaks, or
That and the fish and their bread and their macaroni and cheese. Oh my gosh.
oh my God, I haven't eaten yet.
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
oh.
It's so good. Yeah. I like that. I treat myself to that a lot.
So do you cook at home as well, or you?
I love to cook at home.
What's your
I have
favorite?
a stove from 1955 that works sometimes. The oven sometimes shuts off, and then I have to either transfer it to the top. But I love to cook. I love to cook.
What's your favorite thing to make?
What did I make today? I made turkey spaghetti sauce.
Mm.
and I love turkey burgers, and I love salads, and I just love to cook. I'm sort of like a woman. I need like 12 children and a big kitchen, and I'll be happy forever.
Like you've done that job of taking care of your, right?
And
So
I have 3 children, yeah.
yeah,
And I have 5 grandchildren and one great grandson.
uh, husband still with you, or what was?
No, Christian passed. And I
Um,
was married a few times. I was married 5 times. Except for, you don't count one of them because he was a bigamist. So I
oh
wasn't really married.
no, right. It was a polyamorous or something like that. Now it's the
No, he was the truck driver for the Kiss tour.
oh okay.
And he didn't tell me he was married. And it's a long story, but when I went to divorce him in South Carolina, they said, well, you can't divorce him because he wasn't married to you, but you were married to him.
Huh?
I know.
Wait. How does that?
I don't know. I didn't worry about it and just kept going.
Oh my god. My goodness. That's okay. So favorite film. What's your favorite movie?
Um, you know what the truth is? I have ADD so bad that it's really hard for me to sit down through a movie. And Marlon used to get really mad at me because I'd never seen. It's hard for me to really sit still, but I would say Gone with the Wind, that I had to sit still because I went in the 8th grade and it was a field trip, and I love Gone with the Wind. And my neighbor across the street, her great great grandmother was the publisher of that. So
What?
yeah, and To Kill a Mockingbird. How weird is that?
Yeah. So wait. You said something that I can't let escape. You Marlon got mad at you for what reason? Marlon Brando, I take it, right?
Right, because I never saw any of his movies.
You never saw The Godfather?
No, and I studied. Well, I did see it up until the horse's head, and I left. I walked out. It was like in the 70s, but that was too much. I can't. And when he got the script, he was dyslexic, so someone else had to read him the book, and he said, "No, it's too violent. I can't do it." And he meant it, but his manager, my friend Joellen, said, "You got to pay the power bills. You got bills to pay. You got to do it." So
Wow.
he did.
So he did it. It wasn't so much an artistic issue for him. Well, certainly he's one of the greatest actors of our time, but it was also he needed the money.
He needed the money. He had a bunch of kids, he said it's just too violent. I don't want to do this. But he did, and the rest is history. And people think he's Italian. He's really Irish and Dutch. He's
It's
not Italian.
always thought of him. Is that why he did Departed?
I don't know about The Departed.
No. It was the other movie he made. I thought he was in. No, he wasn't in Departed. That was. I'll swipe that one. But my point is, I never thought of him as. I never thought of him as not being Italian. I assumed that he was because the talk around The Godfather was that everyone who was Italian was trying to be in it.
That's the trickery of Hollywood. No, he's as Irish as a potato.
Wow, I had no.
Yeah.
Scupole. Thank you. I had no. Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's my favorite movie of all time, The Godfather.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen The Godfather 47 times.
Well, it's funny because I tried to watch it during COVID, and that opening scene,
Yeah.
all I could see was my husband's ears.
Whoa, no.
Like, I guess it's his head, and he's just sitting there sort of like silhouetted, but all I could think was, those are Christian's ears. So it's that kind of stuff.
My God. So a perspective that I only half understand. This is what I mean. I've interviewed a lot of folks now, I could say, since I started doing this format. But it didn't hit me what I'm about to say mattered until it happened. I interviewed Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Now, then someone wrote, and it popped up on my Twitter feed, because in those days you can make your Twitter feed with the YouTube comments and all that stuff, wrote, hey, great interview with Jim Kelly, R.I.P. And I went, what? And that's how I found out Jim Kelly died.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and then Malachi Throne, who is one of my favorite actors from Mission Impossible and Star Trek, I found out that he died because his son, of all people, wrote a thank you comment on my video interview with him from Comic-Con, actually from WonderCon in San Francisco. And I
Wow.
started crying. And so my point is that for you, when you the media and life really fuse in a way where the people that we might hear about, you know, what is it? Ambiently, right? You know them. And so everything has a different meaning for you because of that, huh?
Yes, I think so. Only they're just bigger than life to other people.
Yeah.
Like with Marlon, I got a phone call that he was that before it became was out in the press, so I had some time to digest it. But yeah, but I just they're just like us, only they may suffer more than most. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And but yeah, it's weird because to me he's just my father's. I mean, my husband's father. But I see him everywhere, just like my father. I mean, I see him everywhere. Some guy was wearing his mugshot at Bob's Big Boy the other day. That's another favorite, Bob's Big Boy. I'll take you there too.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's just
Deckers.
that's the weird part.
Double deckers, right?
Oh yeah, well I haven't had one, but yeah, they're there.
Yes,
And
yes.
funny the thing about the Bob's Big Boy in Burbank, they did not have a studio audience for my father at the '68 comeback special. So they ran over there and said, "Anybody want to come to this special taping we're doing?" And that's where they got their audience from across the street at Bob's for the comeback special.
Wild.
It
Completely
really is.
wow. What was Christian like?
He was like very childlike and just so not competitive with me. Like in some of my relationships, people, they don't want me to sit, they didn't want me to sing, they didn't want me to, do much of anything except for, just be there for them. But he was so proud. We would just drive down Hollywood Boulevard and he would embarrass me to go, "Don't talk to me, talk to her." I'm like, whoa,
He loved
and he was just he had such a tender heart. And in the book, I talk about him being a hero because people think that he killed his brother-in-law.
mm-hmm.
And in my book, the detective that arrested him says Marlon could have thought of something better. And Cheyenne actually did it accidentally, and Christian took the blame, which is a big part of my book. And I have a picture with the detective.
How does it happen as an accident? What was going on there? What?
Well, she was schizophrenic and she was also not medicated, and she was 8 months pregnant. And she had told Christian that her boyfriend had been hurting her and showed her bruises on her stomach. And so he was obviously upset. He stopped and they went to dinner. He stopped and picked up a gun. And then he told me that he stopped on Mulholland and was messing with the safety back and forth. And then he put it on the kitchen counter when he got back to Marlon's. And then he said, next thing he knew, he heard a shot. He didn't tell me that for a long time. But she's 8 months pregnant. What is they going to do? And I know that Marlon would have said, "You be a man and you take the blame, and I'll help you get out of it. But you've got to protect your sister." And he flew her out of town that very night to Paris. And Marlon did, Cheyenne. So Christian just went ahead and they reduced it from first degree murder to manslaughter. And he did do 5 years time, but he was brokenhearted because he knew people believed that he was actually um, a murderer, and he was not that. Now, when he did drugs, that's a whole different thing. And he never did them with me, but that the drugs took over in the end.
At what point was there a point of no return with respect to the drugs?
uh when he got pneumonia and went into a coma, and that was the end of it. But he got pneumonia partly because he had scarring as a child when his mother kidnapped him, and he had a really bad bouts of pneumonia at that point. And from all this meth, he smoked meth. And he used to say to me, "Why don't you do this? You can stay up for 3 days." And I'm like, "I don't want to stay up for 3 days, and I'm never going to do it. And if you ever do it with me, then that's the end of us." And um,
It's wild how that is, Deborah. I have to share a story because I was mentioned off camera. I was in Las Vegas covering Super Bowl week apart, right? So
yeah.
I have this. I can't walk. I'll tell you about my hips. So I got this thingy. And
You're
so
getting that fixed.
I'm getting it fixed. Yeah. Well, don't. Yeah. Knock on wood. My head. Not anyway. I'm in pain, and so the security people working contract with the NFL, they were trying to get me a wheelchair. Very nice people, and I got my credential and all that stuff. And so I'm coming out, and this guy that looks like Cheech and Chong,
Mm,
Frankie, says to me, "Hey, see you're feeling bad. Okay, this is a crowd full of people going by in Mandalay Bay in the convention center. Try these; they'll reduce your pain." And like a fool,
did
yeah,
you know him?
no, he was one of the security. People, security guards are like coming left and right. Hey, can I help you and all this? But this guy was different, in that he offered the pill, and I made the mistake of trusting him, and I took them. And within 5 seconds of doing so, okay, 5 seconds, I thought, hey, this has like a peppery taste. And I said, Frankie, what did you give me? He goes, I'm in the military. I said, well, what did you give me? He goes, I was in the military. They helped me. I got to work all day. But he never told me. And so 15 minutes, and this gets to my comparison to what you just said. After that, my pain went away. But my thought was, holy shit, something is in me I don't want to be in me. Okay.
Bless your heart.
Right? That was
Fentanyl. You could have been dead.
it was Oxycontin.
That's what I take for my shoulder right now. Yikes.
I didn't, I was like, what? And I was scared to death.
Oh my God. Well, that's what they're going to give you for your hip too.
Yeah. Oh, and wow. Okay. Education time. Thank you. Because I didn't even know, about this stuff. But what I'm disappointed with, I was so mad at myself. I told my mom, because I took her on, she goes, are you stupid? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what shocked me was like, it's why I can't, again, it's not that I can't get addicted. There's some things I'm addicted to, not like that. We're all addicted to something, like good food. But the whole point, there you go. So, but my God, I can't, to be going on meth and then get locked in like that, that's unfathomable.
It's true, but there's a whole different thing. What you had, that was legitimately helping your pain. And when you do get the surgery, they'll give you that, because that really, really does help, because it's an opiate and it blocks the pain. But meth, it was like he just did it to escape reality. It's a whole different thing when you're hurting and you take it, and especially when your doctor prescribes it, than just taking it just to get away from your reality, which is what my brothers did and what Christian did.
Because I wanted something so I could better go into the reality of going to a party, right? but I wasn't trying to escape shit. I was like, no, But that's wild. Is that why there are so many drug abusers in Hollywood? They're trying to escape their reality?
Yeah, I believe that, and or alter their reality. But I'm so glad I never had that kind of personality. Now, I was addicted to people that have that kind of personality.
Yeah.
But I never myself, because there's no drug in the world that makes me feel better than I feel when I know that I'm truly connected to who I am and to God. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And that sounds trite and easy to say at 67, but it's the truth.
Oh, you're only 47. You got your senses around you. See, that's the thing. It's like, that's what I love. I love to be able to like feel, and
True.
ask you a question. Since I'll be 62 August 4th. You're 67. What does it mean to be in your 60s?
Well, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be 68. And I was writing today, and because I'm writing my second book, and I was writing and I was thinking, it's like time's in reverse. I mean, I feel like I'm timeless, because again, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. I mean, our bodies are just like clothes, and we just like lay them down when we're done. And if life's eternal, this is not all there is.
So it's true. Wow. The reason I say that too is because I'll just say this, just today, I realized precisely who I am.
Wow.
And I did so. I was telling a friend of mine of getting our company website, a new one done. and I came up with a tagline on the fly, which is uh, "Let us tell your story." And I said that to my friend who's also got me investors, and he said, "Wow, that's the first time I've heard you speak with clarity."
That's your higher self.
Wow.
That's part of you that's connected to God. And we all have that. But that's you and your higher self that came through you, because you know that. And that's available to you all day, every single day.
But did you always know who you were? Because, I say without fear, I finally know who I am. But when did you know who you were?
From the time I was tiny. My mother was 16 when I was born. She never left me. There was never, I mean, I thought we were the same person like for a long time. I mean, she never put me down. She never left me. There was never a time that I didn't call out for her, that she didn't answer me immediately. And she would tell me, I remember one time, um, when I was about 4, I was my mother and the man that raised me told me to sit down on the couch, don't get up. Sunday morning, I was all dressed for church with my 2-year-old brother, and after a few minutes, I got sick of sitting there. So I started filling in the cushions, and I found a bunch of money. So I was so excited, like all this change was in there, and I was sharing it with my brother. And so the man that raised me walked in and saw me with it and went nuts, gave me a whipping, 4 years old with a belt, takes me to church, makes me sit there with the Southern Baptist preacher screaming because I wasn't in Sunday school. I'm sitting there with all this money, and he made me give the money to the plate, right? And I was so upset, and I was almost 5, and my mother picked me up. I was so traumatized, took me outside, set me down under the trees, and said, "This is where God is." And
Wow.
she said, "He is wherever you are. He's in the trees. And none of that stuff is reality. Those people really have a lot of problems, and they're not representing your Heavenly Father." And so I just knew, and she would teach me, you can talk to him, and, talk to him all day long. Say, I need this, or I need that, or even just, I love you. And I'll never forget when Christian was in his 40s, he came running home one day, and he goes, "Deborah, you're not going to believe this." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "I talked to God today." He said at his AA meeting, he got to talk to God. And I'm like, you could talk to God anytime. And he didn't know that because his dad didn't believe it, because his dad was an atheist. Although he was always with Christian women. I mean, all 10 of his wives, or however many he had.
Why was he an atheist?
I think because of his disconnect with his mother. Marlon's mother started the first acting with what's that guy's name? Henry Fonda. They started the first acting school in Omaha, Nebraska in the 40s, and she wanted to be an actress, and she also had a drinking problem. So from the time Marlon was a little boy, his dad, and this is in Marlon's biography, I'm not, so everyone knows this, but he would, his father would just jerk him up, Marlon, and take him to bars and find his mother. And he didn't have a strong connection.
Wow.
But a friend of his, Joanne Corrales, who I talk about in the book, she was his manager and knew him from the 60s. She said, "What are you going to do when you get to heaven and God's there?" And he goes, "I'm going to punch him in the face." But the funny thing is that he always loved women. He always loved women that were very strong Christians. So I know that he got that through the women in his life that he loved. But he just he was a complex human being.
Do you realize, I think you do, you have a movie in you.
Oh, I do. And I have interest, and I need more interest. But yeah, and I have a 5-part miniseries based on the book, because again, the book's not about Hollywood's in it, but I've been out here since 1980, and I've never considered myself a part of Hollywood, because I never wanted to be the center of attention. I would not do the things that you need to do in order to get. I'd go to Hollywood parties, and all these girls would be taking their clothes off, and I'd be like sitting under a tree with my books, and they'd be swimming in the pool with the producers, and I'm like, I'm gonna go read a book, and
Whoa,
then I'm
whoa,
leaving.
whoa, 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 whoa. Swimming in the pool with the producers. Is that like, Is that like a Weinstein story?
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I do have, and I do want it to be a film. But again, it's a spiritual story. It's not so much about me being a famous man's daughter. It's how I navigated that and how I survived Hollywood and all that that entails, only to be stronger than ever and know that the world needs healing now. You
Yeah,
know,
you do.
people are looking for answers. The answers are not in what we're seeing. And I've been watching The Chosen, and we all need to remember that we are God's children and we need to love each other. And you need to be able to believe what you believe politically without someone hating you. This is the United States of America. We need to accept each other's differences. And
It reminds you, what you say reminds me of something that happened to me. I went to Texas, Arlington, and the last month, a friend of mine that we had a class in English and we played pool. And he told me something I remember 5 months before about how he had supported. Now, frame the proper year. This was 1985.
mm-hmm,
He said he supported the apartheid regime in South Africa,
mm-hmm,
which is horrifying
mm-hmm.
today. And but I didn't get mad at him.
Well, that's because you're a good soul, because there are
Well,
people that would have walked out and never spoken to him again.
we kept playing pool. All those.
Wow.
I talked to him about the illogic of supporting it very calmly. I beat his ass in pool every single time.
Well, that counts.
I ran the table on him the last time,
Whoa.
and he said to me, "Not heck with you." He said, "You know, I want to thank you because you took the time to explain this to me, and now I get it."
It's important.
Yeah, and you don't see that today.
No, we don't. And I have lost so many friends because they believe differently than me, and they'll tell me that you're just plain stupid to believe that way. And that's just not, it's not right. We should need to love each other in spite of our differences.
That's
And,
right.
and we should be able to, Ed and I feel the same way, and I know and you do too. But we need to love each other. We need to stop the fighting. We need to stop. We need to just change a lot of things.
What do you think? How do you think your father would be if he came back to life all of a sudden and looked around? What would he say?
He would want to help and do exactly what I'm doing, and to remind people that we are all God's children, all of us, no matter where we came from, no matter, and that we're all connected, and love each other, and I mean, just like Jesus said, and we can help each other. We can do merit. We can help heal each other. I mean, Jesus said, what I can do, you can do.
Yep.
And that's all of us. And, you know, I want to be not remembered not so much for being my father's daughter, because that's important, but just what I'm saying, that, Elvis pales in the shadow of who my true father is, and it's his father too. But that also gives me a place to where people are hopefully interested enough to listen, and we can start healing our country and our children and ourselves and our relationships.
It's well said.
Thank
Uh, I think that's a good place to wrap up, so I don't take too much of your time. As much as I like to do all of it, got to come on back and talk some more.
Yes, and
No?
also the book. I spent many years writing it, and I do hope that people do read it and share it. And because I think I've had so many people writing me and saying, I can so relate. I didn't know who my father was, and I didn't know where I came from, and so many beautiful stories people have shared with me, and I'm grateful. And I just it's at DeborahPresley.com, and I just hope that it helps people, because we all need to be healed.
We certainly do. And I'm going to take you to Deborah Presley right now.
.com. Thank you.
Oh, you got it. My pleasure.
Mhm.
Made my day. And there that is. And so guess what? With the magic of a push of a button, voila, bingo.
Da-da-da.
Da da da. Go there, folks, and buy it. Right?
Thank you.
And click on here, the book. There's the forward. And then you can purchase the book here. So in the single result, it's very simple. Memoirs of a Starseed Child, Elvis, Marlon, Matt, Christian, and Me by Deborah Presley Brando, $55. Add to cart. Just press the button there. Boom. And you're off to go. So it should be up. I just heard it. There. That's the cart, folks. And this is a page for those who want a signed copy of the book. You will receive the book 4 to 5 weeks after you place your order. Deborah will personally sign each book that is ordered here. Are you going to do any book signings in bookstores, or?
I am. As soon as, like, I just had a total shoulder replacement 3 weeks ago, and as soon as this is healed, yes, because I can't sign right now. But and also it's available at Amazon or anywhere books are sold as well.
Oh, and when is your documentary coming out? Your 5-part, is it miniseries?
I don't know. I've got to, we have Fred Caruso who's interested in producing, and he did Godfather.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But just looking for the right people to do it with me, which will happen when it's time.
Well, I've been blessed to have met you.
I've been blessed to have met you.
I'll call you a new friend, so we'll stick around in the background. Don't go anywhere. Folks, thank you for watching this fantastic conversation, if I do say so myself.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
You're in time. Thank you. Hey, folks, subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark our new site. Still a little under construction, almost done, but I think it's appropriate. OscarsMovieNews.com. Hey, who's your choice of Best Picture, by the way?
I haven't seen a movie since 1977.
Oh my!
Except for The Chosen.
Except for The Chosen, yeah. Just pick if you're in a contest, just pick Oppenheimer. There you go. You can't lose.
I've heard that was really, really good.
Yeah, it is, and I think for me, it's a personal story because when I was 14 years old, I bought a book called "In the Matter of J. Robert Oppenheimer" at Moe's Books in Berkeley, California, and it's nothing but text from the loyalty, security, oath hearings that Professor Oppenheimer went through, and you find out in detail who the putzes were, like General Groves and Edward Teller, who sandbagged him. And so I carried that around. I never saw anyone until Christopher Nolan tell the right story on film.
Wow.
Got it right.
Well, you know what? I have good friends who say the same thing, and I have a lot of friends that are members of the Academy that have the screeners.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your honor, I will go to my friend Grace's, and I will watch that. And I will make myself sit down for 2.5 hours, which is like humanly impossible most of the time, but I'm a little slower now. I will go do that in your honor, because I've heard great things about it.
Thank you. It is a fantastic movie, and you're a fantastic person. Thank you.
You
it's like don't move a muscle. Folks, that ends the stream. I'm going to leave my friend in the background with me. Got it.